The Daytona International Speedway sits quietly as the sun rises on another dreadfully hot August morning. But this won't be a typical lazy dog day of summer. Oscar is in town.
OSCAR stands for On-Site Computer-Aided Research. And what we're trying to do here is cut development time and costs by being able to see what's going on in the car. So far in automotive development, a lot of design is directed by seat-of-the-pants type engineering.
People want more and more and more data. And with the car becoming more electronically controlled, you've got to know what's going on. You have electronic fuel injection. You have all sorts of different components that are being handled by a computer. And only a computer can disseminate all that information.
25 years ago, the stock cars at Daytona were basically rolled out of the showroom and onto the track. Throw in some roll bars, slap a number on the side, and you were ready to go racing. As we all know, racing has become big business and increasingly competitive. The teams look for the slightest edge. And this is where Oscar comes in. Oscar is the brainchild of the Buick Special Products Division. Some very talented engineers have gathered here in Daytona, 3 days in the heat from 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock. Drivers Ron Bouchard and Bobby Allison are being asked to buckle it up and mash the gas.
Well, I guess Oscar, he's going to do most of the work. I just got to sit here and hold the gas to the floor and turn the steering wheel. That's my job. And basically, I'll fool with the race car some when we do get, to a point where we know what we're doing. And, it'll be a little bit of a test where it might help us in February when we come back for the sportsman race.
What we're looking at today is to see how the engine is looking at the car. We're looking at cooling, oil, fuel. We're looking at the engine itself, RPM, induction pressures and temperatures, exhaust pressures. So we're looking how the engine is in the car and in the environment out on the track, and we're also looking at itself so we can decipher what's going on. Like, is the radiator too small or too big, and the cooler too big or too small, the oil pump too big or too small, or something's not regulated right, or not getting enough fuel, all those things.
You're wondering how they get all that information. Engineers attach sensors to key points on the engine, 32 in all. Once the engine is cranked, the information is immediately recorded by an onboard memory module.
2 is a 0, 3 is a 0.
Hold on, okay, 1, 2, and 3. Those are temperatures.
Yeah, those are bad. That's bad then.
Okay, these are bad.
I didn't find out what the voltage was.
Well, you can't.
That's what I did. 4.
Okay.
6.
6.
Perfect.
7.
3.98. Good.
8.
Good.
Great.
When you hit the button, it actually starts recording it to the memory module. So that's what's taking place. And then once the button is hit, 2 minutes worth of data are recorded, automatically shuts off. The driver will come in, we'll take the module out of the car, and then we'll hook it up to this cable here, which is then fed into the computer. And then we will download the data that we've recorded onto a disk so that information is permanent. At that time, you see a menu we have up here on the screen. It allows us to load data from the disk, already stored information, load data from a memory module, which is this, examine current atmospheric conditions, which you probably haven't seen yet. And we've got a little antenna upstairs here that's...
Oh, the weather man, yeah.
And this is always monitoring information.
Will it pull more RPMs?
I think it would, yeah.
I mean, just saying right now, if you really got on it, would you pull more R's?
Oh, no, maybe 100 more.
Yeah. What I'd like to see is if you can go over that. If it's
Go over the vibration?
Yeah.
Now there's a cooler on board.
An oil cooler?
An oil cooler that the oil is going through. And as you see, as the run increases in time, the oil temperature going into this oil cooler is rising steadily. And what that means is a loss of horsepower. but coming out of it, the air cooler is doing its job because you have a straight 112 degrees of oil temperature. This type of information couldn't be recorded before.
Oscar doesn't stay the same for 24 hours. We're always changing part of it. There's a couple of major systems. There's the computing systems that you saw. We're upgrading those for speed all the time. And there's the software that we've written. And we're upgrading that all the time to get more information or make it simpler or faster or more efficient. We're upgrading the data acquisition unit to get more sensors on it, make it more durable, and we're adding more sensors all the time. So when somebody changes one thing, it affects something else in the system. So we're always having fun making sure, whose fault was it because something didn't work? But that's, it's tough to develop and test at the same time.
This 3-day program was set up to test Buick's developmental V6 engine. But it should be noted that Oscar can also be used to test aerodynamics and handling. Oscar is a pretty handy guy to have around. Buick has pioneered the development of the V6 for racing. Much of the knowledge gleaned from the Buick Special Products Division involvement in racing, in fact, turns up in the production cars that you and I would drive.
For example, when we first put this V6 back into production in 1975, we actually bought it back from AMC, Jeep division, which we had sold the engine to in 1967. So that's how the economy in the marketplace changes. In about 1980, we did some head modifications to increase the volumetric efficiency in the breathing of the engine, and also some oil system modifications that were directly related to our racing involvement at that time. It was a very direct development program that we had learned some things in racing that we could apply directly to this engine, which helped the reliability and the fuel economy of this particular design.
The transition to the V6 hasn't happened overnight. Buick has invested heavily in the V6. An example, for 3 days in August, Buick rented the Daytona International Speedway so they could run the V6 long and hard. Buick brought down their top engineers from Flint, Michigan, computer experts, crankshaft experts, drivers Ron Bouchard and Bobby Allison, and engine expert Jim Ruggles.
We're trying to make the bottom end of the engine just bulletproof for 500-mile races. The demands here are different than most of our experiences with the V6 has been to date. We've been racing it primarily on road courses, and now we're here to. Our long-term goal is Indy and NASCAR, and this is what it's all about. We can come here and make the engines live for 500 miles, and NASCAR is going to be quicker to accept the engine. And we feel that NASCAR will go to the V6 sooner than a lot of people think, mainly because they've had all their success in the past by aligning themselves with what Detroit produces. And the V8's about history. I'm not saying it's a bad design or a bad engine. I'm just saying that where we're going now is V6s, so that's, whether you like it or dislike it, you better learn to accept it.
A number of drivers are going with the V6 in late model sportsman competition. In fact, Ron Bouchard took the pole at Bristol last month while driving a Buick V6.
This year here we made a commitment to Buick to, run this V6, and every time we've run it, we've been very successful. We've always been leading the race and really running away and had a problem. But, I think that's one of the things when you're trying to develop something new, you're going to have trouble. So that's one of the reasons we're here at Daytona for, 2 days, myself and Bobby Allison, and just really to try to find out what the problem might be in the engine. They got a computer hooked up to this thing, and it's supposed to tell us everything that might be going wrong. along. So hopefully we'll learn something from this here, and the next time we do run them, we won't have any trouble.
In a race situation, how would you grade the performance of the engine?
You're talking about oval course or road
Correct,
course?
yes.
Well, in oval course, I feel like in most cases the operation was a success, but the patient died. We've run real good, but we've had some teething problems. And if you recall, when we switched, I was active in NASCAR back in the 60s and early 70s. And when we switched from the big blocks to the small blocks, we had teething problems. And now the Chevy V8 and the Ford V8, the small blocks, are virtually bulletproof. They'll go out, and if you look at Ernie Elliott's record, they got a phenomenal endurance record. But there was a time when you couldn't get a Ford to live for 100 miles, let alone 500 miles. So we all pay our dues some way or other. And we're paying our dues right now.
NASCAR will follow suit with what Detroit is doing in many cases. When do you think, in your opinion, NASCAR will adopt the V6? Well,
we've been told that we can start running them in '87 in Grand Nationals if we can prove to them in Sportsman that we've proved to them they're competitive. Now we have to prove to them they'll live. And there's three things they're looking at. Is the engine competitive? Does it have good durability, and are there plenty of competitive parts available for everybody? And that's our goal this year, is to attain all those. And once we do that, and then say next year in '86 we go out in Sportsman and we run 300 and 400 mile races with no durability problems, we expect that in '87 they'll let us start running some of the Grand National races. Now, I don't think anybody should look for the whole field being V6s. We feel like maybe if we can start out with 2 or 3 cars, well, we're here to prove a point. And then once we prove that point, now we have a common denominator here in between the Sportsman and the Grand National, and that's the 311 Chevy. Once we can prove to them we can compete with the 311s, we feel that when NASCAR has to downsize the cars again, the logical thing is to go to a V6.
Buick continues to pioneer the V6, but they also have an eye to the future as the automotive industry and racing continue to keep pace with the changing demands of the economy and its resulting technology.
There could come a time around 1990, 1995 that we could be the same horsepower levels the V8s are at right now, but we could do it with a lot smaller engine.